Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm very excited to have completed day 6 for Week in the Life 2023. That means after, this day and this video, I will be on to the last day for this project, which is really exciting because if you've been following along since the beginning, I am great at taking pictures, okay at doing the journaling, and not so great at getting everything pulled together into an album. Because I have 2020, 2021, and 22 to put together. But once I finish this particular album, I will have broken the curse, so to speak. Not that it's a curse, but it's just so hard for me, I guess, to put albums together. But not anymore because I'm almost done with this one. As you can see, I am starting with figuring out where I want to place a chipboard. I did this on several of the days. I can't remember which ones, but I would take one of the craft words that I had printed and then pair it with a chipboard. Now, I really wanted to stick to stamp sets that I had when I first started putting together this project. But then I said that to myself and I thought, well, that sounds kind of ridiculous. And so I just let that arbitrary rule go. So one of the stamp sets that I did not have when I first started this project was the Pieces of Joy stamp set. So I am actually going to use that throughout this entire day. Because when I was writing my journaling, I actually wrote my journaling from the perspective of joy. So I figured, you know what, I might as well just use the stamp set. And I stamped This Is Joy twice on the chipboard. And as you can see, I've moved on to the morning. And I actually had, I think, 3 6x8s or maybe 3 6x8s, and one of them was the screenshot. So I went ahead and put the screenshot right behind the main 6x8. So yeah, I guess I have 4 total. Which most days I've only had 3. And I had a place for the screenshots, and I usually put the screenshots at the end of the day, but you'll see why the screenshots needed to be up by the morning later on. So for this morning photo with my daughter, it was horizontal, so I just trimmed it down, used a word phrase that says this day, and then stamped April. And then I realized that I didn't pick out my word phrase stickers, so I flipped through the pages real quick to see the colors, and I mostly have green and pink and yellow. So I went to my word phrase stickers and pulled those out because that's another thing that I've done throughout this album is kind of determine which colors are predominant throughout the entire day and pick like 3 different sheets of stickers that will work. 3 different colors, I guess I should say. And so again, the colors I'm going with are green, yellow, and pink. And so below the stamp April or the stamp sentiment April, I put So Lovely. And I also found a really pretty, I want to say coral color that matched the 6 best. So I went ahead and used that sticker sheet, and it has like a really fun, big font to it. It almost reminds me of the Label Maker font, but I love it and I'm going to use it up. So the next page is more of the morning. I have dishes, and I also have all the things that I packed for my daughter to have a swim play date with her friend, because apparently this April day was really hot. I am not one to keep track of the weather in Week in the Life, so I don't know if it actually was hot, but kids don't tend to care if it's hot or not when they get a chance to go swimming. So this is the 4x6 card where I wrote a lot of joy things. Joy, like seeing my daughter out the window when I was brushing my teeth, jumping for joy. And I went outside and got some pictures, and then my son finding a spot at the local high school to play soccer because there was a net to play, and then hearing the rapid beat of hummingbirds' wings and turning around to see it, and just listening to the rustling of the trees. So all kinds of really awesome things throughout the day that were just joy-filled. So I went ahead and titled the card Joy-Filled, and then stamped it with some messy stamping that says Finding Joy. And at the bottom, I have a yellow sticker that says Saying Yes. So really love how this particular card came together. And I'm hoping that through my notes for this year's project, I will be able to do another joy card for maybe a day or a couple days. So also in this particular week in the life, I took pictures of my outfit for every single day. I don't know if I missed any days, but on this particular day, I did not take it in front of my mirror, which is how I had done it. And so I knew that I had taken some selfies when I was at the local high school with my kids. So I went ahead and collaged them into a 4x8 and then printed it at home. I will eventually print it through Persnickety, but I did not have it at the time because I forgot to send that off. And then on the back of that, I'm going to include my daughter's first selfie. She actually, I think this was her first selfie, which was really exciting. And also you could really see her freckles, and she even told me that the picture was so pretty, and it just made me so happy to hear her confidence in that. I mean, a year later, she now is considered probably a preteen, and she would say that that's not a great picture. But in that particular moment, she said it was a beautiful picture, and to this day, I still think it's a beautiful picture of her. So what happened when I went to go staple my 29, because I've been trying to use numbers of the days throughout this project, and I picked a yellow one because it works really perfect, but then I glued down my collage to the back, to the white paper, and not realizing that I needed to probably staple first and then glue down. I was able to kind of wrestle the paper apart and then staple and smooth out the paper. And with my daughter's picture taking up most of the back, it really didn't make too much of a difference. But I was glad to get that number stapled because, like I said, it works really perfect. And I did forget that I had a whole lot of journaling, or basically enough journaling to fill the bottom of this, and I forgot to add it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the end of the notebook where it says things I want to remember, and I'll just have to I'll have to print another photo of my daughter running around in the nature area. So for now, I stamped "Oh Hello Sunshine," and then in green ink, I stamped "Love This So Much" 3 times. And then that little insert is done, and now I can move on to the 4x4 insert. Now this 4x6 collage of my son is a conversation that I had with him while I was doing dishes, and this kind of upsets me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I didn't write down what that conversation was about, and I didn't take a video, which sometimes I will take videos or, record our conversation, but I didn't do that. So I don't exactly know what he was so animated about, which is unfortunate. And I couldn't find a place for it in this particular day. I just couldn't. So I'm going to go ahead and include it in Sunday in the notebook for Sunday. And it's my project and I can do that, right? But hopefully I will have recorded everything that I need for this year's project and I don't miss out on anything. I think this particular year, I actually did a really good job with my journaling. So that's a good thing. Now for these 4x4 pocket pages, I've really enjoyed doing a floating pocket for one of the 2x2s, and that's what I did in the bottom one. I had 2 phrases stuck in there, April basics. So I just stacked them on top of each other, and now it totally looks like it says April basics. And then to the photo of me brushing my daughter's hair, I stacked tiny joys stamped and cut out, and then above it I'm going to put a word phrase sticker that says this. And it's just an awesome picture of us getting ready for the day. My daughter was singing to me her choir songs, and she was practicing those. I had another phrase sticker that said weekend, and I just fussy cut it out to follow more of the shape of the word. And I love these word phrase stickers, or not stickers, the craft paper words that I printed out. Now, will I do them for this year? I don't know. I feel like I'm leaning more towards simple, and not so complicated, if that makes sense. I'm currently working on my plan for 2024, so I will let you guys know probably in another video. I added "let's go" to the top of that weekend phrase since we were outside. The other thing that I really loved that I did in this particular project was these top three top 3 from the day. I had these color block cards from the main kit, and I had no idea how to use them. And then I finally thought, well, how about a top 3 of the day? And then I could use one of the squares to stamp 3, and then above it write top. And then I'll pick out some stamps that go along with what the top things were, and then just jot down a little note about it. And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but throughout this project, I've used a mix of Ali Edwards stamps and Everyday Explorers stamps, since I have a ton of both of those and it gives me a lot more options. So I stamped Let's Go Outside, since we spent a ton of time outside on this particular day. And then I stamped TV and chill, and then evening ritual, since my son and my husband and myself were all watching Ted Lasso at the time. And then I also stamped today's highlight, because we got to hang out with some friends. Once I'm finished with this card, I can flip to the back of this 4x4 page protector, which is going to go more into the afternoon. And for me, that's always been a tricky part. And I'd love to know if it's a tricky part for you guys in the comment section. But I feel like with my photos, I almost have to go chronological. And I know that that's kind of silly, but that's just how it feels. I don't know why. And another thing that drives me bonkers is these 2x2 page pocket things. Configurations are not exactly 2x2, so some of the photos stick out, and I have to trim them or just leave them. And for the most part, I just leave them, and it bugs me, but I really don't want to go back and spend time trying to figure out how to get them all to sit in there and not stick up. Anyways, one of the words that I had said stuff, so I decided to think of a list of stuff that we did throughout the day, and that also kind of corresponded to the various pictures. So I have dishwasher cleaning, fresh air, and spring grass, little tasks to tackle the entire room, reading in little bursts, driving here and there, seeing and playing with friends, and then fave snacks like guacamole. I also realized that I had a little clear sticker piece that goes along with the story of my daughter and I in the bathroom in the morning. So I went ahead and grabbed the photo or the screenshot of my phone call with my best friend, and I went ahead and moved that to a different location, and it's almost like the evening section for my whole day, but that's just where it's going to have to fit, because I really wanted to make sure that I included that story. So I just use a piece of white paper, and then I'm going to stamp love and add that sticker paper piece that just talks about, like I said earlier, my daughter was practicing her choir songs, and she even added some made up lyrics. And when I asked her what was going on with that, she said it was boring and it just needed some extra flair. And I said, alrighty, sounds good. And then on the back, I am trimming one of the 2x2 photos because I wanted it to match the size of the 2x2 pocket with the journaling. And I also added a sticker that said needed, because we always need some outside time. I also have these 4x4 photos that I really, really love. I love how those turned out. I have a feet photo of my daughter and I as we're walking, and we stopped by the 2 because there's 2 of us. I wanted to have a stamped phrase there, and I thought about having lovely things right there, but when I fussy cut it out, it was really too big and it was not going to fit in the spot that I had. So I had to kind of go with plan B, but I am going to find a spot for that lovely stamp phrase because it needs to go somewhere. And I just want to be able to use it. I did have those brown words that I printed out. I had one for the feet photo. I want to say shadow because I do take a lot of shadow photos, but I mean feet. So I wanted to use the word like, but I felt like that wasn't enough because this picture, I love it. So I used the word tired for the photo of me going to bed super late. As always, any chance I can stay up, I will stay up. Even though I have noticed as I'm getting older, or maybe it's because I've gone back to work, but my body does not like to stay up late, and I start to feel not so good. I'm like, my body is revolting. Like, why are you staying up so late? but I have to keep reading. I just love reading my books. I have another little filler 2x2 that I'm going to make that's going to go right next to the photo of me driving. And so I stamp currently. I also use a word that says go, and then grab a little geotag icon and go ahead and stamp that. And I think my camera like cut out, so I'm not sure if it's gonna look weird or not, but it cut out just a little bit. And I'm going to put it down like in the pocket that I said that I was going to, next to the photo of me driving. And then on the back of that, we will move more into the evening photos, and we actually wound up going back to the high school for a second time so we can meet up with some friends, because we'd invited them to come with us earlier in the day, but they couldn't. So we just decided to go back, back a second time. Why not? It was a beautiful evening. I also went back and added the word feeling joy, because I remember that I have a photo of my daughter, and I think she's holding up a piece of the fake gold, the mica, is that what it's called? But she was really fascinated with that, and that's why she had my camera taking a selfie, because she was not only taking a selfie, but she was doing some videos about her explorations and finding the gold. So I really wanted to have that stamped phrase, because we were literally feeling joy, because it just made her so happy to find that. Like I said, it was a great day being outside so much. So now I am going to put that 2x2 pocket in, and then add the lovely things right now to the 4x6. And I will also add a few things to the 2x2, to the back of the 2x2 pocket. I am pulling out a phrase that says take more photos, and I went ahead and just put that on a 2x2 piece of paper. It could have just floated in the back of the pocket, but I decided I want it to actually not be floating and not move around. I also grabbed some word phrase stickers, again, to use because I just love using them. I wound up using one that said love, and then I'll stack a bunch of icon stamps from Everyday Explorers that relate to my son and husband. I think they were watching TV, or they were playing a video game together. I don't know. They were doing something together, so that's why I picked those particular icons. I also wanted to stamp a little phrase for my guac and chips snack, since I knew that I had an Everyday Explorers one, and I found an Everyday Explorers stamp set about hobbies that I had lost for a while. And then the last photo I picked was of my husband coming home early. So I've got some stamps, and I'm going to add them to the photo. For my husband's one, like I said, I thought it was going to be a stamp, but I found a yellow sticker that said the best way. So I just took out way and put the best on the photo in the negative space. So that works great. I was also a guest storyteller for Studio Calico this particular time. So I guess I was the guest designer for May, but I had a photo of my projects, and I decided to add a stamp sentiment that says, love this hobby. And then, of course, the quick snack for the photo of me with my guac and chips. Guac and chips are just the best. Or chips and salsa. It's just the best, and a great pick-me-up for the afternoon. Okay, so I brought the album back so that way I could place my pieces back on there, which is also the tricky part, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before with other days, but it's tricky because I need to leave some of the photos out, so that way I can take decent pictures. If they're inside the page protectors, there's a lot of glare. So that's why. And then everything just kind of slides around as I'm moving pages, but what can you do? I had this photo with me and my mom friend, and then one of her children, and on the back I have some photos of my daughter running and doing the long jump, and then my son and his friend. They're just 3x4s, but I trimmed them down and then just added them to make a 4x6. And then I'll just add another phrase that says weekend, and I don't think I realized at the time that I used a second weekend phrase, but oh well. I'm going to leave it there and just, leave it there. I also had a large pink phrase that said "this story," and I like how both of those pieces really connect the 2 3x4s to make it feel cohesive. And again, fussy cutting out so that way I could match more of the shape of the word. I don't know about you, but when I'm fussy cutting, I prefer to follow the outline of the word instead of just like cutting it in a shape, like a rectangle or a square. I prefer to just cut it all out. Cut it out more to the shape of what it actually is. Okay, this photo of my daughter and I is the shadow photo, and maybe that's why I kept getting it confused with the feet photo. But I took this awesome photo of us walking on the track, and we were holding hands, and I thought about adding nothing because it's such a great photo, but in the end, I added pieces of joy, a little stamp sentiment in the corner. I actually could have probably put it up in the top left corner now, thinking about it, but that's okay. Above that, I put a word phrase sticker that says "this feels so good," because it was so nice. It was so nice to just go walking with my daughter. It's just so nice when kids want to do things with you, right? So at the end of the night, I'm like cleaning up the house, and I look at like our entryway, and there's all this stuff here. And it's all evidence of a really good day with lots of different activities, and also a really good week of activities. There was karate stuff and soccer stuff and a backpack and swim stuff. So I love that photo, and decided to add a phrase that says "Saturdays are for." Now, to kind of speed things up with the book, I went ahead and picked out a ton of stamped phrases ahead of time, and hopefully I can finish up this day, because putting these pages together or putting a day together takes a long time. So having some word phrase stickers, or not stickers, the stamps out ahead of time definitely helps. So I stamped "Oh Hello Real Life," and then also a heart with some circles around it, and also used that same stamp to stamp a border up at the top for my journaling, where I will do the main block of journaling. Now, I have these same books for this year, but I don't know if I'm going to do big blocks of journaling or if I'm going to break it up. I just know I have a lot of journaling, and I have to figure out where I'm going to place it and how I'm going to use it. I think I kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I'm just mentioning it again here. And I also printed my journals on just white paper, so that way the dot grid I felt like the dot grid was interfering with the journaling a little bit. My printer tends to print clear sticker journaling. Like, I feel like it looks a little fuzzy when it's printed, like not crystal clear. So hopefully I'll figure it out by the time I get ready to put my journaling in this year's books. So my point is that through this project for 2023, I've learned how to make it better for this year's project, which is always the goal, right? We want to just get better and better. I added a word up at the top that says "remembering," and moving on to the back, I'll add another border of that heart down at the bottom this time, and then start my blocks of sticker journaling up at the top. And then for gratitudes and feelings, I'm just going to add a few stamps. I thought about adding some more journaling. Like, when I looked at Saturday's journal, I was like, oh, that's not a lot. Maybe I should go back and add some more. But then I thought to myself, nope, we're just going to move forward with putting together the pages, because I want to get to this year's Week in the Life album and see how it all comes together. I also learned a lesson that I personally cannot put large blocks of journaling on a page at one time. So I take the large block and I break it up into chunks, and that way I can put it down easier and hopefully not make it crooked. Added a pink word phrase sticker down at the bottom that says "family," and then big smile, joy, and find joy in the ordinary. The last thing I'm going to do is the little story about my daughter. and her selfie. I decided to include a 3x3 photo that I can print. I can even do a 3x4 if I wanted to. I brought the Joy stamp set over because I really want to do stories of Joy, and I just made sure that I had room for that. And then I wrote in a note of the photo that I needed. I could have printed it from my computer, but I just figured, you know what, for the sake of actually getting this done and sharing this video with you guys, I'm just going to print it at a later time. So I've got stories of Joy, and then of course the story about my daughter playing outside. And then I was so mad at myself. Did you see my hands? I left that in there on purpose because I made it crooked. After everything, I made a small block of journaling crooked, but oh well. What can I do? I'm not going to reprint it, and I'm not going to go back. So it'll just have to work the way it is. Word phrase sticker at the bottom was bloom your heart out, which is perfect. Okay, you guys, we are back at the beginning, and I'm going to share how this comes together. I've also added in the chipboard down at the bottom. So again, I open with a vellum piece with the number on it, a 6x8 of my daughter, screenshots for the day, and then the morning, moving into more of the morning and then going out to the high school. And I also have that special journaling card about Joy, and then my daughter's photo, my top 3 for the day, and then some weekend photos, and then later in the afternoon and some more evening photos and shadow pictures and pictures with friends, and then all the good stuff on the floor for Saturday. And then of course the book that you just saw me put together. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this day come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thanks. Bye.